Hey guys, today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing Black Series Asajj Ventress. Asajj Ventress is a Clone Wars character and the Sith assassin of Count Dooku. She was in quite a few arcs in the Clone Wars and was a recurring character that was introduced, I think, as early as Season 1. So this is definitely one of her more early looks. And this is also a character that they don't have a canonical live action representation of, so it is Hasbro's best guess at what this character would look like in live action. So here's the box. As you can see, we got the Clone Wars right here. And then the box art on the side. And let's read the back. An assassin trained in the ways of the dark side by Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress yearned to be considered a true Sith, but such status wasn't allowed under the Sith's rule of two. And in case you haven't watched or are still currently watching the Clone Wars, I won't include any spoilers as to the story of Asajj Ventress and how she relates and interacts with other Clone Wars characters. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and take her out of the box. Okay, we're back. We got Asajj out of the box, and it has done its duty for us, so we can set the box aside. Now, you might have seen me in the time lapse struggling to pose her. I don't think that's anything intrinsically wrong with the balance of the figure. I think it's more the fact that she has this big skirt on makes it difficult to tell what pose her legs in and her feet are in, and it makes standing her up harder. So, first impressions, it's decent. I'm not blown out of the water like some figures, but let's give a figure overview. Here's the head sculpt. It's detailed well enough. The paint application looks reasonable. As for likeness, It's kind of hard to say because it's an animated character that they adapted into a realistic style. I'm not particularly mad at it, but I'm also not blown away. I'll put a picture on the screen right now what her face looks like in the show and let you decide as well. I think it's decent, but nothing crazy. I will say that gap at the back of her neck is quite bad. You can see there's a huge gap back there. Anyways, moving down the figure, it does admittedly kind of have a cheap, glossy, plasticky look on the upper half, and I don't think it meshes super well with the skirt material down here. It's kind of this weird combination of like a very hard plasticky shiny with like a very velvety material, and I'm not sure if I like it a whole heck of a lot, and I knew that when I bought it, just looking through the window on the box, that I wasn't sure if I was going to be a huge fan of the general aesthetics of this character. The hand wraps look quite good though, and so do the waist wraps. The paint and the sculpt look really good on that, but it's just like more the purple on her like upper body suit that I think looks really plasticky. The sculpt on her back though is quite good, and the belt and this front portion here is also sculpted and painted quite nicely. So some areas of the figure I do quite like, but others not so much. Under the skirt is kind of more of the wraps, but it seems to be lower quality. I think it might just be because it's only painted one color instead of the two color right here. So aesthetics wise, it's definitely kind of a mixed bag as far as the skirt goes. I honestly don't think I'm in love with the material that they chose. It is, I think, too low thread count, and it looks like she's wearing a blanket or like a plushie throw around her instead of like a skirt. So admittedly I don't like that, but anyways, let's check out the articulation. As you'd expect, head and neck have no restrictions. She has quite a long neck. Arms have no restrictions and like the full rotation and go up to about there. Elbows bend to about there. Let's see. She has tons of abdomen articulation. So there's rotation and swivel. And then on the legs, honestly, there's definitely some articulation limiting because of the skirt, but really not a whole heck of a lot. It's a little bit kind of stretchy and has some give to it, so you can get the leg up there pretty far. And then the knee. Goes to about there. And the foot is your typical Black Series foot. Nothing crazy to say about that. So, articulation, even with the skirt, aesthetics are kind of a mixed bag. Some of it's pretty decent, some of it I don't really like. Articulation is quite good. Surprisingly, even with the skirt, you can still move most of the joints without any real limiting. So, overall, I would say if you're a big Clone Wars fan like I am, it's probably worth picking up just so you can have, what's a fairly large character in your collection. But if you're kind of on the fence or not a huge Clone Wars person, I think you can avoid this figure. But let's also, before we wrap up, we do have 2 lightsabers. Check those out. The sculpt and paint are decent. And of course they have the red lightsaber blades. Looks like they can also okay, there we go. After a little struggle, looks like they can fit on her belt right here, which I think looks pretty good. And of course they do fit in her hands, like so. So, anyways, like I was saying before, my final verdict is, if you're a Clone Wars fan and like having a collection of Clone Wars figures, I would recommend picking it up just because she's a fairly big part of it. But if you're kinda on the fence, I think this is one you can pass, in my opinion. So, anyways, let me know what you guys think of the figure. Maybe the skirt doesn't bother you as much. It is growing on me a little bit as I hold it in my hands, which is why I kind of recommend it if you are a Clone Wars fan. So, let me know what you guys think. But anyways, I hope you've enjoyed, and as always,